When you wake up each morning and stand in front of the mirror, there is one person you can never lie to. That person is you. Your reflection knows the truth. It knows every choice you made and every thought you allowed to grow inside. In this quiet space, no applause exists, no crowd, no stage. Only you and your integrity remain. This is where strength is born. This is where you decide who you are. Integrity is not something you show only when the world watches. It is the invisible thread running through every action, every word, every promise. When you guard it, you guard your soul. When you lose it, you lose the foundation of your own being. It is not a shield for reputation, but a compass for direction. Without it, you may gain quick victories, but you will lose the quiet power of self-respect. Life will offer shortcuts. It will whisper the easy way. It will tempt you to compromise because nobody will see, nobody will know. But integrity is not about them. It is about you. Each time you choose honesty over comfort, you train your mind to stand tall. Each time you keep a promise when it costs you, you sharpen your spirit. These are not small things. They are the real training. Think of a tree in a storm. Its branches may sway. Its leaves may scatter, but its roots hold firm. Integrity is your root. Without strong roots, the tree falls with the first strong wind. With strong roots, it survives all seasons. Protecting your integrity is not a single act, but a daily practice, like breathing, like standing, like moving with awareness. Ask yourself in moments of decision, is this action true to the person I wish to become? Does this word come from clarity or from fear? Does this step honor my principles or betray them? Such questions are not weakness. They are the sign of inner discipline. They are the sign that you respect yourself enough to pause before you move. Many people chase power, wealth, or recognition. Few chase integrity. Yet it is integrity that gives true power. It allows you to sleep with a calm mind. It allows your words to carry weight. It creates trust in others without effort. People may forget your achievements, but they will remember the way you carried yourself. They will remember if your word was a bond or a mask. When you protect your integrity, you build an unshakable foundation. Life may test you. Circumstances may shift, but your center remains steady. And from this steadiness comes confidence, courage, and freedom. Freedom to act without fear of being exposed. Courage to stand alone when it matters. Confidence to know that no matter the outcome, you stayed true to yourself. Every day begins with a choice. Before the phone rings, before the world rushes in, before anyone demands anything from you, there is a quiet moment where you stand in your own presence. In that moment, the only witness to your thoughts and intentions is you. This is where integrity takes root. It is not born under bright lights or in public arenas. It lives in the unseen space where your decisions first take shape. Protecting your integrity begins long before any action is visible to others. It starts in the mind, in the heart, in the private conversations you have with yourself. This is where your real power resides. When you commit to protect your integrity, you are making a promise that does not depend on the world's approval. It is a promise to yourself. This means when nobody is watching, you still choose honesty. When nobody will applaud, you still choose to act according to your principles. This is what makes integrity powerful. It does not need an audience. It does not require recognition. It simply is. And because it exists independent of praise or judgment, it becomes unshakable. You begin to walk with a certain quiet confidence that cannot be faked or borrowed. Many people underestimate the weight of small choices. They think integrity only matters in big decisions. But in reality, integrity is built from countless small acts, the kind that seem invisible at first. Choosing to keep a promise when it would be easier to let it slide. Telling the truth when a small lie would protect your reputation. Refusing an opportunity that does not align with your values, even though it could bring you immediate gain. These choices shape your character like drops of water shaping a stone. Over time, They create a foundation so solid that no external pressure can easily crack it. The moment you compromise your integrity, you feel it immediately. Even if the world cheers you on, even if no one else notices, deep down you know. And that inner knowing will always speak louder than any outside noise. You may silence it temporarily with distraction or excuses, but eventually it will surface, asking you to look at yourself honestly. Protecting your integrity spares you from this inner conflict. It allows you to live with clarity, to move with ease, to act without the heaviness of guilt or regret. This is a freedom far more valuable than anything you could gain from compromise. There will always be temptations to cut corners, to exaggerate, to do what feels comfortable instead of what feels right. But integrity is forged through these tests. Each time you resist, you strengthen your inner discipline. Each time you hold firm, you tell yourself and the world who you are. This is not about perfection. It is about consistency. It is about returning again and again to your core principles, no matter how the world shifts around you. This steadiness becomes your quiet power. It radiates through your words and actions without you having to announce it. People begin to sense they can trust you. They feel safe in your presence. This is the invisible influence of integrity. There is also a deeper layer to protecting your integrity. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, you give permission to others to do the same. Your example becomes a light. In a world where it is easy to compromise, your steadiness becomes rare and therefore valuable. Without preaching a single word, you remind others of their own potential for honesty and courage. This ripple effect can be profound. It can shift families, communities, and workplaces. But it begins with one person. You, deciding that your integrity is worth more than convenience, applause, or profit. As you continue to guard your integrity, you start to feel an alignment inside yourself. Your thoughts, words, and actions begin to flow in the same direction. This alignment creates inner strength. You stop needing to remember what you told different people, because the truth remains the same no matter who is listening. You stop fearing exposure because you are not hiding anything. You stop feeling restless because your inner compass points clearly to your values. This clarity becomes a source of peace in a noisy world. And in time, this practice reshapes your identity. You no longer see integrity as something you do, but as something you are. It becomes inseparable from you. It becomes your natural state, like breathing. This is the ultimate reward of protecting your integrity. Not praise, not status, but a life lived in alignment with your own deepest principles. Protecting your integrity is more than a moral choice. It is a practical path to freedom, respect, and inner power. Each decision you make in private is a step on that path. Each time you choose truth over comfort, you strengthen the foundation you stand on. And one day, when life challenges you with something truly difficult, you will already be prepared. You will already have the strength to stand firm because you have been training for it all along. This is why the small decisions matter. This is why your private moments matter. This is why protecting your integrity begins today, in the quiet choices you make when no one is watching. There is a certain strength that develops inside a person who keeps their word, even when it costs them. This strength is not the kind you show in front of others, but the kind that lives quietly in your chest, shaping how you stand and how you speak. Protecting your integrity means choosing to remain truthful and consistent, especially when the pressure to bend your principles is at its highest. It is easy to talk about honesty, but it is another thing to stay honest when something you want could be lost because of it. This is where the real test of integrity lies. When you protect it, you gain something far greater than temporary rewards. You gain a sense of inner power that nothing outside you can give. There will always be moments in life when the fast option looks better, when a shortcut promises ease, when bending your principles could open a door. In those moments, you are being asked a quiet question by life: who are you really? Your answer to that question is not spoken, but shown through action. If you choose to stay true to yourself, even though it costs you, you teach yourself courage. You build trust with yourself. You create a core of strength that will not crumble when larger storms come. This is how protecting your integrity transforms you from within. Integrity is not just about avoiding lies. It is about the energy you bring to everything you do. It is about the way you treat others when nobody can hold you accountable. It is about the decisions you make when no one can see the consequences. Each time you act in alignment with your values, you carve a path of clarity. You begin to feel lighter because you are no longer carrying the weight of hiding or pretending. This lightness becomes a quiet confidence. It is not arrogance, but the calm knowing that you are living in truth. Every time you keep a promise or uphold a standard, even when it is inconvenient, you also develop discipline. This discipline begins to spill into every other area of your life. Your mind becomes clearer, your focus sharper, and your actions more intentional. It is like training a muscle. The more you practice honesty and consistency, the stronger you become. This is why the small choices matter. They prepare you for the larger ones. So when the moment comes where integrity is truly tested, you are already strong enough to hold it. It is important to understand that protecting your integrity is not about perfection. Everyone makes mistakes, everyone slips. What matters is the willingness to return to your principles, to own your actions, to correct your path. This willingness is also part of integrity. When you admit a mistake openly instead of hiding it, you strengthen your character. When you acknowledge a weakness, instead of pretending it does not exist, you give yourself the chance to grow. Integrity is built on honesty with yourself first. Without that honesty, you cannot have it with others. People around you can sense when you live this way. Even without words, your presence communicates reliability and steadiness. This is the kind of reputation that cannot be bought. It can only be earned. And once you have it, it will open doors that shortcuts never could. People will trust you with their time, their energy, their opportunities. Not because of what you claim, but because of who you consistently show yourself to be. This trust is one of the most powerful assets a person can have, and it begins with protecting your integrity. In a world filled with noise and distraction, a person who guards their principles stands out naturally. You do not need to shout about your values. You do not need to demand respect. Your life itself becomes the proof. The calmness in your voice, the steadiness in your choices, and the clarity in your eyes will speak louder than any words. This kind of authenticity draws the right people and opportunities toward you while also repelling anything that does not align with your values. It is like a natural filter that keeps your path clear. Eventually, this practice leads to a deep inner freedom. When you protect your integrity, you stop being afraid of being exposed because there is nothing to hide. You stop fearing other people's opinions because you are not acting for their approval. You begin to experience a kind of peace that cannot be shaken by external events. This peace allows you to face challenges with calm strength instead of anxiety. It allows you to stand tall even when you stand alone. And in the quiet moments, when you look back at your life, you will not measure it by how much you gained, but by how true you remained to yourself. This is the real measure of success. This is the foundation of a life lived with purpose. Protecting your integrity gives you that foundation. It is the unseen training that prepares you for every test, every opportunity, every season of change. The more you hold it, the more it holds you. That is why protecting your integrity is not just an idea, but a way of living. It is not something you do only when the stakes are high. It is something you practice daily, like breathing, like standing, like returning again and again to the center of who you are. When you do this, You discover a strength within you that cannot be bought or faked. You discover the quiet power of a clear mind, an open heart, and a steady spirit. This is the power that comes when you protect your integrity. There comes a time in life when you realize that protecting your integrity is not only about saying no to what is wrong, but also about saying yes to what is right even when it is difficult. Integrity is not simply a defensive stance, it is an active force that shapes the way you move through the world. It is the commitment to align your actions with your values, to stand in the light of your own truth, and to live in a way that reflects the best of who you are. When you do this, you create a strength inside yourself that begins to guide every decision with clarity and courage. To protect your integrity, you must be willing to be uncomfortable. You must be willing to face criticism, misunderstanding, or even loss. The easy path often demands a compromise of principles, but the true path demands courage. Courage to speak the truth, even when it trembles in your throat. Courage to walk away from what does not serve your values, even if it promises recognition or wealth. Courage to stay rooted in your principles, even when others around you sway. This courage is not loud or aggressive. It is steady, calm, and unshakable. Integrity demands that your inner and outer worlds match, that the words you speak mirror the thoughts you carry, that the promises you make reflect the intentions you hold. When there is a gap between who you say you are and who you actually are, life will eventually expose it. But when there is alignment, you become resilient. You do not fear discovery because there is nothing to hide. You do not crave approval because you already have your own. This inner alignment creates a kind of quiet power that moves with you wherever you go. The more you practice living with integrity, the more natural it becomes. Decisions that once felt difficult begin to feel clear. Temptations that once seemed strong lose their hold. You stop negotiating with your values and start embodying them. This is the point where integrity shifts from being a discipline to being a way of life. It no longer feels like something you have to do, but rather like something you cannot not do. It becomes your second nature. This is the freedom that protecting your integrity brings. At times you may feel alone in this practice. The world often rewards speed, convenience, and appearances rather than truth, patience, and substance. But the person who protects their integrity builds something far more lasting than applause. They build character. They build trust. They build an identity that does not crumble when circumstances change. Over time, this steadiness draws people who value the same things. And together these people create an environment where honesty and respect are normal. This is how one person's integrity can begin to influence an entire community without force or preaching. You will also find that when you live with integrity, your mind becomes clearer. You no longer waste energy maintaining false impressions. You no longer carry the anxiety of hiding something. You no longer fear the consequences of being discovered. This clarity frees your energy for creativity, service, and growth. It allows you to be present with others without distraction or defensiveness. People feel this presence even if they cannot name it. They feel safe, respected, and valued. And this trust becomes a powerful foundation for any relationship. Living this way also creates resilience. Life will always bring setbacks, disappointments, and unexpected challenges. But when you have built your life on integrity, those challenges do not shatter you. They test you, yes, but they do not define you. Because your values are your anchor, you can endure the storms without losing your sense of self. You do not need to reinvent your identity with every new circumstance, because it is already rooted in something stable. This is the quiet confidence that allows you to stand tall even when others bend. Protecting your integrity also teaches you patience. You learn to value long-term respect over short-term gain, character over comfort, substance over appearance. This patience is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is the understanding that true success is built slowly, that trust is earned over time, that character is carved through consistent choices. Each day you make these choices, you are building a reputation with yourself and with others that no one can take away from you. As you move through life with this mindset, you begin to experience a new kind of freedom. You no longer feel the need to defend yourself constantly. You no longer chase validation to fill a void. You no longer compromise what matters for what is easy. You discover the quiet power of living true to your values, and this power follows you into every part of your life. Your work, your relationships, your health, your sense of purpose. It is not a power that needs to be shown. It is simply felt like a steady heartbeat. And as you continue on this path, you will see that protecting your integrity does more than safeguard your reputation. It safeguards your soul. It allows you to build a life that feels whole and meaningful from the inside out. It allows you to look back at your choices without regret and to look forward to your future without fear. This is why protecting your integrity is not optional. It is the very foundation of a life lived with dignity, strength, and purpose. There is a quiet space inside every person where their deepest values live. It is not loud, it does not demand attention, yet it shapes everything about how you think, act, and move. Protecting your integrity is about returning to that quiet space over and over, especially when the world outside is noisy. In this space you remind yourself of who you are, what you stand for, and why you have chosen this path. Without that return to the inner space, it is easy to drift, to lose sight of your true direction, to let the noise of others drown out your own voice. By consciously protecting your integrity, you anchor yourself in your own truth. And this anchor allows you to move through life with steadiness even as circumstances change. As you grow, life will offer you many opportunities, many paths, many crossroads. Not all of them will align with who you truly are. Some will look appealing on the surface, but feel wrong in your heart. Protecting your integrity means you are willing to step back, breathe, and ask yourself if this opportunity respects your core values or requires you to abandon them. It is the willingness to pause before saying yes. This pause is not hesitation, but strength. It is the discipline of choosing alignment over impulse, clarity over confusion. This discipline will become one of your greatest assets because it prevents you from scattering your energy or betraying your deeper self. Integrity also means learning to listen carefully to your own intuition. Often your body, your heart, or your inner voice will sense when something is off before your mind can explain it. Protecting your integrity involves trusting that signal and being willing to act on it. Sometimes this will mean walking away from something others call a golden chance. Sometimes it will mean standing up for something others dismiss. Either way, it means you are not living by borrowed values but by your own. This kind of self-trust does not appear overnight. It is built gradually as you consistently act in alignment with your principles. Each time you honor your inner sense of right and wrong, you strengthen the bond with yourself. Over time, this bond becomes unbreakable, and you begin to move through life with a natural confidence that no external validation can replace. The world often tests integrity through subtle pressures. It might be the pressure to fit in, the pressure to impress, or the pressure to gain something quickly. These pressures are not always obvious, but they are powerful. Protecting your integrity requires awareness. Awareness of what truly matters to you. Awareness of when your words and actions begin to drift from your principles. Awareness of when you are tempted to silence your own truth in order to avoid discomfort. This awareness can be uncomfortable at first, but it becomes liberating because it gives you the power of choice. Instead of being swept along, you can choose your response consciously, guided by your core values rather than by fear or desire. When you live this way, you begin to notice a sense of inner order. Your decisions no longer feel scattered. Your actions begin to follow a consistent rhythm. This rhythm gives your life stability, and stability breeds strength. People sense this steadiness. They feel your clarity even when you do not announce it. This kind of presence creates trust without effort. It makes others want to work with you, listen to you, and stand beside you. Not because you demanded loyalty, but because you inspired it by living true to your own word. This is one of the most powerful and natural results of protecting your integrity. There is also a quiet joy that comes from knowing you are living in harmony with your own principles. It may not look glamorous from the outside, but it feels rich and full from the inside. This joy is the opposite of the emptiness that comes from compromise. It is a deep satisfaction that cannot be bought. Even on difficult days, even in loss, you can rest in the knowledge that you stayed true to yourself. This knowledge sustains you when applause fades and when circumstances shift. It allows you to stand firm without bitterness or regret. Over time, this practice shapes not only how you see yourself, but also how you see others. When you have learned to protect your own integrity, you also learn to respect the integrity of those around you. You begin to encourage honesty rather than appearance, depth rather than performance. Your relationships grow stronger because they are built on trust rather than on convenience. This strengthens every aspect of your life, from your work to your friendships to your sense of purpose. Protecting your integrity in this way is not an act of withdrawal from the world. It is an act of deep participation. By holding yourself to your own standards, you bring something clean and strong into every space you enter. You bring clarity into confusion, steadiness into chaos, authenticity into superficiality. You do not need to announce it, you only need to live it. Over time, this living example becomes a silent invitation for others to rise to the same level. And when you look back at your life, you will see that protecting your integrity was not a limitation, but a liberation. It freed you from living by someone else's script. It gave you the power to write your own story with honesty and courage. It gave you the ability to walk a path that feels whole and meaningful, no matter what others thought or expected. And that, in the end, is the truest measure of success and the deepest source of strength. There is a moment in every person's life when they are asked to stand alone. It may happen in a meeting. It may happen in a friendship. It may happen in a private decision that no one else knows about. In that moment, the crowd's opinion fades, and you are left only with your principles. Protecting your integrity means being prepared for these moments. It means building such a strong relationship with your values that you can stand in them, even when no one stands beside you. This strength does not come from defiance or rebellion, it comes from clarity. When you are clear about what matters to you, standing alone no longer feels like punishment. It feels like freedom. To reach this point, you must practice it long before the big test arrives. Every time you choose honesty over convenience, every time you choose fairness over gain, every time you choose patience over impulse, you are training yourself for those moments of solitude. You are creating an inner posture that does not collapse under pressure. This posture is quiet but powerful. It allows you to speak the truth even when your voice shakes, to hold a boundary even when others push, to keep a promise even when breaking it would be easier. This is the strength of integrity. A strength built gradually through countless small choices. Sometimes protecting your integrity will mean disappointing people. It may mean saying no when everyone expects yes. It may mean refusing to participate in something that feels wrong even if it is popular or profitable. This can feel uncomfortable at first. We are social beings and we want to be accepted. But when acceptance costs your principles, it is no longer true belonging. True belonging comes from being accepted for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. Protecting your integrity is what allows you to experience this deeper belonging. It filters out relationships and opportunities that are based on illusion and leaves only those built on respect. Another part of this practice is learning to be comfortable with silence. Not every decision needs to be defended or explained. When you protect your integrity, you do not have to justify your values to everyone. You simply live them. Over time, people begin to understand that your word is your bond, your actions are consistent, and your principles are steady. This understanding builds trust without effort. It also frees you from the exhausting task of constantly explaining yourself. Integrity is a language that speaks for itself. In a world where shortcuts are rewarded and appearances celebrated, a person who quietly protects their integrity stands out. They may not attract immediate attention, but they command long-term respect. This respect is not just from others but also from within. You start to respect yourself. You begin to look at yourself in the mirror and see someone who did not compromise their essence for approval or gain. This self-respect fuels confidence and clarity. It becomes the foundation for everything else you build. This path also develops a kind of courage that does not need an audience. Courage to take the harder road because it is the right one. Courage to admit mistakes because honesty matters more than image. Courage to forgive yourself and try again because integrity includes growth, not perfection. This courage grows quietly and steadily, like a tree putting down deep roots. The deeper the roots, the less the tree fears the wind. When storms come, it may sway, but it does not break. Over time, protecting your integrity begins to shape not just your choices, but your character. You become someone whose presence itself signals reliability and steadiness. You do not have to insist on your reputation because it speaks through your actions. People feel they can trust you. Opportunities arise because of your consistency. Relationships deepen because they are built on honesty. This is the kind of success that cannot be taken away because it is not based on appearance but on substance. Living this way does not mean you will never make mistakes. You will. But when you do, you will own them, learn from them, and return to your principles. This returning is also part of protecting your integrity. It keeps you humble. It keeps you growing. It keeps your path clear. And each time you return, you become even stronger because you have proved to yourself that your values are more than words. They are a living practice. In the end, protecting your integrity is not about being perfect or admired. It is about being whole. It is about knowing that at the center of your life, there is a core you can trust, a core that cannot be bought, manipulated, or broken. This is the quiet power that frees you to move through the world with courage, clarity, and peace. It is the kind of power that cannot be taken from you, because it does not come from the outside. It comes from within, from the steady practice of living true to yourself day after day. There is a deep strength that grows in a person who chooses to be consistent in character, not just in certain situations, but in all areas of life. Protecting your integrity means you are not a different person depending on who is in the room or what you might gain. It means that your words and your actions carry the same weight, whether spoken in public or whispered in private. This consistency is one of the most powerful aspects of integrity because it creates a foundation of trust with yourself first and then with others. Without this trust, your energy becomes divided and your path becomes unstable. With it, you move through life with clarity, calmness, and purpose. When you live this way, you no longer need to put on a mask. You do not need to remember which version of yourself you show to which person. You do not have to adjust your values to suit the moment. This freedom allows your energy to be directed toward growth, creativity, and contribution instead of maintaining false appearances. People sense this kind of authenticity. It gives your words weight, your presence calmness, and your decisions power. This is not because you are trying to impress, but because truth naturally carries strength. Protecting your integrity also means you keep your promises, especially to yourself. The small commitments you make every day are like threads. Each time you keep one, you weave another strand into the fabric of your character. Each time you break one, you tear a small gap. Over time, this fabric either becomes strong enough to support your dreams or too fragile to hold your own weight. Keeping promises to yourself is the training ground for keeping promises to others. When you wake up early because you said you would. When you finish the task because you said you would. When you speak honestly because you said you would. You are not only acting with discipline, but also reinforcing your integrity. Life will test this consistency. There will be days when the temptation to compromise feels overwhelming. There will be moments when no one would ever know if you cut a corner or told a small lie. In these moments, you are shaping the strength of your spirit. Each time you hold steady, you prove to yourself that your principles are real and not just convenient ideas. Each time you align your actions with your values, you grow a little stronger. This is how integrity becomes not just something you have, but something you are. It is also essential to understand that integrity is not built on rigidity, but on alignment. Consistency does not mean you never change. It means that even as you grow and evolve, your actions continue to reflect your core principles. You may learn new things. You may expand your perspective. You may even change your mind about certain details. But the underlying values of honesty, respect, and authenticity remain the same. This is how you can grow without losing yourself, adapt without compromising your essence, and face new challenges without betraying your center. As this practice deepens, you start to notice the peace that comes with it. When you no longer have to hide or pretend, your mind becomes clearer. When you do not betray your own values for convenience, your heart becomes lighter. When you act with consistency, your relationships become stronger because they are built on truth instead of image. People feel they can rely on you not because you tell them they can, but because you show them through your steady actions. This is how trust is built quietly over time without needing to be announced. Protecting your integrity in this way also builds resilience. A person whose values are firm can face criticism without falling apart, can handle praise without becoming arrogant, can endure setbacks without giving up. This steadiness does not come from perfection, but from practice. It comes from showing up again and again with honesty and consistency until it becomes part of your nature. This is what allows you to walk into any room, any situation, and remain centered regardless of the environment. Over time, this commitment creates a kind of inner power that is unmistakable. You will notice that you are less reactive, less fearful, and less dependent on outside approval. You will feel a quiet self-respect growing in you, and from that self-respect springs courage, clarity, and patience. These qualities feed each other, making you stronger with each choice. This is the hidden reward of protecting your integrity. It gives you a foundation on which all other strengths can grow. And in the end, when you look back on your journey, it will not be the moments of comfort that define you, but the moments when you stayed true to your principles, despite discomfort. Those are the moments that shape your character, build your reputation with yourself, and prepare you for the future. Protecting your integrity in this way is not only an ethical choice but a practical one. It gives you a steady compass to navigate uncertainty and a clear mirror in which to see yourself. It allows you to live in such a way that, no matter where you go or who you meet, you can stand with your head held high, knowing that you have remained true to the deepest part of who you are. There is a quiet reward that comes from protecting your integrity over time. It is not loud or dramatic, but it changes everything about the way you live. When you have practiced honesty, steadiness, and alignment long enough, your inner world and outer world begin to feel the same. You do not feel pulled in opposite directions. You do not wake up wondering who you have to be today. You simply are yourself, in every setting, with every person, in every decision. This state of being is a form of freedom that very few people experience because it requires discipline, patience, and the courage to hold your principles through countless small moments. But when you reach it, you discover an ease and strength that cannot be shaken. This ease comes from the fact that you no longer live behind walls. You do not need to protect an image because your life already reflects your values. You do not waste energy hiding weaknesses or pretending to be someone else. All of that energy can now flow into growth, service, creativity, or deeper connection. This shift feels like stepping out of a tight shell and into open air. Your body relaxes, your mind clears, your spirit feels lighter. This is the quiet power of living in alignment with your integrity. Another reward of this practice is trust, both from others and from yourself. People begin to sense that you are reliable without you needing to tell them. They trust your word because your word has proven to be consistent. They trust your decisions because your actions have shown clarity. This trust is one of the most valuable assets a person can build. It opens doors that skill alone cannot open. It creates relationships based on respect rather than transaction. It gives you influence without force. And it begins with the simple but difficult practice of protecting your integrity day after day. Living this way also changes how you handle challenges. When you have a strong sense of who you are and what you stand for, setbacks and criticism no longer feel like threats to your identity. They become tests, lessons, or feedback, but not definitions. You can face them with calmness because your core is steady. This steadiness allows you to recover faster from failure, to adjust your plans without losing your principles, and to keep moving forward without bitterness or regret. It is like having a compass in a storm. The winds may push you, but the compass always points true. Protecting your integrity over time also deepens your self-respect. You begin to see yourself as someone you can rely on. You trust your own judgment because you know it is not guided by fear or impulse, but by values you have tested and lived. This self-respect changes the way you carry yourself. Your posture straightens, your tone softens, your eyes become clearer. You do not need to force confidence because it arises naturally from knowing you are living honestly. This kind of confidence cannot be taken away because it is not borrowed from applause or recognition. It is built from within. At the same time, you develop compassion. When you know how hard it is to stay true, you stop judging others too quickly. You understand that everyone is fighting their own internal battles with temptation, fear, or confusion. This understanding makes you more patient and less reactive. It gives you the ability to support others without enabling them, to offer guidance without arrogance, to listen without needing to control. Integrity and compassion grow together, each strengthening the other. There is also a sense of meaning that grows. When you protect your integrity, your actions stop feeling random. They begin to feel like part of a larger story. You start to see your life as a journey toward mastery, not just of skills but of character. You realize that each choice you make is a chance to write another line of that story with honesty and courage. This awareness brings dignity to even the simplest moments. It turns routine decisions into acts of self-definition. And finally, protecting your integrity gives you peace at the end of each day. When you lay your head down to rest, you do not need to replay conversations to check for inconsistencies. You do not feel the tension of living a double life. You simply close your eyes, knowing you lived the day in alignment with who you are. This peace is one of the most valuable forms of success. It is not measured in trophies or titles, but in the quiet strength of self-trust. This is why protecting your integrity is not only about resisting temptation, but about creating a life that feels whole and free. It is about living in such a way that your future self will thank you and your present self can breathe easily. It is about walking a path that, while sometimes lonely, leads to a destination filled with clarity, dignity, and lasting strength. And when you reach that point, you will see that the real reward was not just what you achieved, but who you became on the journey. When we stand at the end of this journey, one truth becomes clear. Protecting your integrity is not just an action you take in moments of decision. It is the quiet practice of living every day with honesty, respect, and self-discipline. It is the invisible foundation beneath courage, the silent companion of wisdom, and the steady guide that leads you through confusion and uncertainty. Every small choice you have made to stay true to your values has been shaping your future, strengthening your character, and preparing you for challenges you cannot yet see. This path may be demanding, but it is also the most liberating path you can walk, because it frees you from the need to pretend and allows you to live as the person you truly are. As you go forward from this moment, remember that integrity is not a finish line, it is a daily practice. Each time you choose truth over convenience, consistency over comfort, and character over compromise, you build a life of depth and meaning. Each step on this path makes you stronger, clearer, and freer. And no matter how difficult the world becomes, the one thing you will always be able to stand on is the unshakable ground of your own integrity. I wish you courage as you walk your path, clarity as you face your choices, and peace as you live in alignment with your deepest values. May your actions inspire trust, your words bring light, and your example give strength to others. Good luck on your journey ahead, and thank you for listening with an open heart.